on, bro. We ain't no bitch. Get off, bro. Get off, 21 mil. Come on, bro.
Ravens versus Raiders. The first rule of Fight Club is don't try and fight Donald Penn in the parking lot after the game if you're a Raiders fan. The fight's not going to happen. It's a waste of time. Security won't allow it. Joe Flacco and the Ravens easily handled the Derek Carrless Raiders. Local Oakland insurance adjuster said, "Sorry, it will be a couple weeks until we can repair your car. And until then, you're going to have to drive a manual." Wow. Great car joke, Brandon. Joe Flacco tore apart the Raiders like the vicious Raven he was in 2012. Also, watch as Jared Cook just gives the ball away to Jimmy Smith for the easiest scoop and grab touchdown of his life. Speaking of scoops, after the game, Eric Weddle admitted he performs intercourse with gallons of ice cream after victories.
The only thing that's on my mind is I get to smash some ice cream tonight. Woo!
What? Look it up. Look up what smash means. The action/process of fucking someone good. Also, hitting it. Also, tapping that ass. This is important news because Eric Weddle is lactose intolerant. I don't know how he even does that. If you're lactose intolerant, there's no way you can get up an erection to fuck ice cream. Very well known in the dairy community. Ben and Jerry, they'll tell you some stories. Welcome to That's Good Sports. This is your not safe for work football recap for the week. I'm Brandon Perna, and let's go to the Bengals and Bills game. The Bengals and the Bills. The Bills are the Bengals of the North, and the Bengals are the Bills of Ohio, which is still better than the Cleveland Browns of Ohio. AJ Green, in my opinion, suffers from having split personality disorder. AJ is the great receiver, but Green is the turnover machine. For each great play AJ had, Green one-upped him with an increasingly worse turnover. It was like watching the movie Adaptation, but instead of Nicolas Cage debating whether or not he should have sex with Meryl Streep or fuck an orchid, Green was debating whether or not he should win or lose this game. Fortunately for Bengals fans, George Iocca decided to end it and the Bills' winning streak with the interception to seal the game. Moving on, Panthers at Lions. The Panthers basically had 7 penalties in the first quarter. 8 if you count Cam Newton's off-field remarks about women. I believe he said, "My Newton's Law is a woman watching football doesn't understand what she's watching until an outside force, a man, acknowledges her and allows her to speak." Trademark 2017 Cam Newton's Law. Sadly, the secret to Cam's success may be saying something sexist, as he threw for 3 touchdowns and 355 yards, looking good on the field for the first time since the Broncos castrated him in Super Bowl 50. Playing without a dick has been hard for Cam, until he regained his manhood by connecting with Ed Dick's son, who nabbed 5 catches for 175 yards, but somehow scored 0 touchdowns. Having 175 receiving yards and not getting into the end zone is like getting to the end of the original Mario Brothers without using shortcuts, then having your mom unplug the Nintendo because it's dinner time and she's misdirecting her anger because even though it was her choice, she's still pissed you ruined her chances at having a fulfilling career as she's forced to stay home while your dad works as a sports reporter asking men questions about football. That's exactly how Ed Dixon felt in the Panthers' 27-24 win over the Lions. This episode is also sponsored by SeatTheGeek. Use my link in the description to download the SeatGeek app. Use my promo code. That's good. All one word. And yes, you're gonna get $20 off your first ticket order with SeatGeek. You can get tickets to any NFL game you want. Concert tickets, comedy tickets. The great thing about SeatGeek is you can preview your seat before you buy it. They give you a view from your seat so you know whether or not it's a good seat, and they rank the ticket prices so you know whether or not you're getting screwed. Promo code That's Good, $20. SeatGeek. Arizona and Philly. I told you Cardinals were the most cowardly pussy birds in nature, especially compared to America's mascot. No, not triggered gifts, the eagle. Not only was this a bird versus bird game, but it was also a Carson versus Carson game. And the young Carson did not wince. Instead, he threw 3 touchdowns to start the game, including one to Torrey Smith, who hasn't caught a touchdown pass since Colin Kaepernick was an NFL quarterback. Speaking of Cap, Smith managed to protest 2 sports on Sunday, kneeling for the national anthem of a baseball game. Now that's what I call a foul ball. Larry Fitzgerald has now caught a pass in 200 straight games, which puts him at 200 total career receptions. That's right, Larry gets his 1 catch per game and then fakes an injury so he never actually gets hurt. Smartest player in football, in my opinion. Wentz finished the day nearly perfect with 4 touchdown passes, and his final pass to Nelson Aguilar washed the sheets, made the bed, turned on Netflix, and laid himself into the end zone and wished everyone a good night. The same way Harvey Weinstein wishes an actress good night after jacking off into a potted plant. I guess Nicolas Cage isn't the only one who wants to fuck an orchid. Colts, 49ers. The most exciting thing to happen at the Colts game occurred before the game started, with the unveiling of the Peyton Manning statue. The statue was so beautiful that Mike Pence had to leave the game before it even started, out of fear he might try to publicly hump the statue to several in-pant completions. Pence has never lasted longer than a minute, but he can go up to 6 times in a row without losing the erection Jesus gives him. Andrew Luck resumed practice this week, presumably to have the shit beat out of him on the field as soon as possible. The Colts did find a running back in Return of the Mac. Return of the Mac. Return of the Mac. Adam Vinatieri won another game, this one in overtime, setting the record for most game-winning kicks by a player also collecting Social Security. Phillip Rivers passed Fran Tarkenton to move to 10th all-time in passing yards in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Chargers and Giants passed on being competitive football teams this season. Eli did have this one impressive play. He avoids a blitz in the 4th quarter and hits Beckham for a long touchdown. There you go, Odell. Resuscitate that football. Bring it back to life so you can fucking murder it again. The Chargers won this game on a Melvin Ingram sack that caused a turnover. The other Melvin Gordon, turned that turnover into a touchdown and then revealed he is both Melvin Gordon and Melvin Ingram. Stunning revelation that nobody listened to because the story of the game was the ball-catching casualties for the New York Giants. Odell Beckham snapped his ankle in half. He's done for the season, and then snapped this selfie before surgery because the one thing Odell loves more than football is attention. Dwayne Harris broke his ankle, done for the season. Brandon Marshall is having season-ending ankle surgery. Sterling Shepard left the game with an ankle injury, but could play this weekend against the Broncos. Eli Manning said after the game, it is hard to see all of these guys go down, but at least now I will have a reason for sucking. Chiefs and Texans. This was the other game that ended the season for star players. J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless for the Texans, both done for 2017, which makes Deshaun Watson now the best tackler on the Texans roster. Despite the high score, this game was never really close. The Chiefs dominated throughout. There were lots of deep balls by both teams and a bunch of garbage time points. The Chiefs are proving to be a lot like a savvy drug addict, finding multiple ways to score the ultimate prize, touchdowns, which lead to wins. The equivalent for the savvy drug purchaser is finding the perfect uncut Colombian cocaine, and instead of leading to wins, it leads to massive debt and depression. Or the double D's, as it's known in the drug world. Speaking of double D's and cocaine, Miami Dolphins offensive line coach Chris Forrester was caught doing lines of cocaine for his double D pregnant stripper girlfriend that his wife didn't know about.
I wish I was looking at this.
An even more oblivious wife, Kristen Cavallari, who had no idea how not good at football Jay Cutler was before marrying him, has decided Cutler may be better at throwing TDs if the league loosens its policy on cocaine use. The Dolphins get the win against the Titans 16-10. 10 is the age you're taught cocaine is bad. 16 is the age you realize you've been fed a bunch of lies and it is in fact amazing and may help you play quarterback or offensive line. Steelers and Jags. The only thing that can fly higher than a coked up offensive line coach flying in coach to Las Vegas is Leonard Fournette into the end zone. If you hate seeing accused rapists succeed, then the Steelers-Jaguars game is the one for you. Ben Roethlisberger threw 5 interceptions. 2 were returned for touchdowns as the Jaguars went on to win the game. In many fantasy games for us genius fantasy football owners, watching them put up 28 fantasy points. Barry Church got the final pick 6, and that's one church I know Big Ben won't be entering. Take me to church, I throw like a dog, woof, woof, and to the Browns game we go. Nice segue. Browns, Jets. Myles Garrett started the Browns game off with a sack, the first of his career, and it came on the first snap of the game for him. The Browns and Jets are so good that they fought tooth and nail to see who would enter halftime with a 3-0 lead. It was the Jets. Then rookie quarterback Deshaun Kaiser got pulled from the game for playing like the last 30 Browns quarterbacks. And Kevin Hogan jogged. He jogged onto the field and tossed a touchdown to David Njoku. Njoku've got to be kidding me as the Browns took a lead for the first time in 2017. That means the Browns have trailed more than an avid hiker this year. Get it? Because they walk on trails a lot? Somebody tell Duke, look at the size of Mike Johnson, the Browns are supposed to lose. He made this game interesting, but ultimately the Browns lost on a failed onside kick because it's something they never have practiced, knowing typically they're not in the game past the second quarter. If you want the Packers and Cowboys recap, there's an in-depth video on this channel already, so you can check that out. This episode is sponsored by BetDSI.com, one of the best sports books out there. If you use my promo code, GOOD25, BetDSI is going to give you $25 to wager however you want on whatever game you want, whatever sport you want. The point is, BetDSI.com with my code GOOD25 gets you $25 free to use on a reliable sports book. The over-under, point spread, parlay, betting terms, do it up. Patriots and Buccaneers going all the way back to the second least popular day of the week, Thursday. The Patriots played like shit. Terrific Tom looked more like Iffic Tom, but that was enough to get the win because Jameis Winston overthrew more receivers than babies that get eaten by Rob Gronkowski. And even when Jameis was on target, he had guys dropping touchdown passes and kicker Nick Folk missing more field goals than Gronk eats kittens and puppies. The point is, if Gronk doesn't consume something that has been in the world for less than a year, he actually ages faster than Robin Williams in the movie Jack. Jack's disease is real. Gronk has it. Facts. The NFC West is great if you like watching football between teams who definitely won't be in the Super Bowl this season. Are you ready for some football? Some Monday Night Party. We put a black guy in my song so you forget that I'm a racist. Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings, division game. And guess what? The Chicago Bears scored on a safety, a fake punt. The punter threw a touchdown pass before rookie QB Mitch Trubisky making his debut did. A tipped ball into the end zone and a 2-point conversion trick play. And the Bears still lost, and I can guarantee you they will not score with any of those plays again for the rest of this season. Vikings win as Case Keenum enters the game to save the day. Case Keenum saves the day. And that's it. Those are your Week 5 football glory days of football reviews. Thanks for watching this episode on That's Good Sports. If you liked what you saw, subscribe here. If you didn't, just go away and shut the fuck up. But if you stayed to this long in the video, I'm assuming you at least laughed once. I'm on Twitter at Brandon Perna, and sharing this video on social media would be a huge help. I'm going nowhere fast and I can feel it.